We have seen rise and fall many of the powerful empires in the history of the world. But not all empires have been able to establish themselves as a global superpower in all eras. However, today we will tell a story of an empire that in a very short time they amazed the interworld with its knowledge, military strategy and governance skills. Hello, Assalamu'alaikum everyone, this is Abdullah Zunayad. Today we will talk about the legendary Great Seljuk Empire in the 11th century, what began as a victory over Ghaznavid of Central Asia in 1037 AD. Developed into a vast empire in just a few decades. From 1037 to 1070, the Great Seljuk Empire established themselves as a powerful Muslim state. But history took a turn at the Battle of Malazgirt in 1071. The Seljuk, by crushing the Byzantine Empire, took themselves to wonderful heights. They became the unrivaled Muslim superpower in the world at that time, especially from 1071 to 1092. In these 21 years, they called the golden age of the Great Seljuk empires. Starting from the historic victory in the Battle of Dandanakan at the hands of Sultan Muhammad Tughrul Bey in 1040 until the death of Sultan Malik Shah in 1092. The Great Seljuk Empire changed the map of the world and the course of the history in these 52 years. Although this great empire officially ended with the death of Sultan Malik Shah's youngest son Sultan Muhammad Alp in 1157, the imprint of their heroism and culture remain unfading. Let us return to that exciting history. According to the history, in 1037, Sultan Muhammad Tughrul Bey, with the help of his elder brother Chaghri Bey, founded the Great Seljuk Empire. Simply put, Sultan Muhammad Tughrul Bey was political and administrative head of this empire, while his elder brother Chaghri Bey was the military and strategic lifeboat. On May 23, 1040 AD, the Seljuk, led by Sultan Muhammad Tughrul Bey, decisively defeated the dominant power, the Ghaznavid Empire, in the Battle of Dandanakan. This ended the Ghaznavid domination in the Khorasan region and established the independent rule of the Great Seljuk. After this victory, they became a well-organized political force and began to rapidly expand their kingdom towards Persia and Mesopotamia. The Abbasid Caliphate Al-Qayyum was largely captivity in Baghdad. At that time, the real power in Baghdad and Iraq was in the hands of Shia ideology Buyid dynasty. On 18 December 1055, Sultan Muhammad Tughrul Bey entered Baghdad with his large army, and Buyid rule ended in Baghdad without any major bloodshed. The Abbasid Caliphate Al-Qayyum received Sultan Muhammad Tughrul Bey with great honor. He bestowed on Sultan Muhammad Tughrul Bey the title of Kings of the East and West. Through this event, the Great Seljuk Empire became not only a powerful state, but also the center of the leadership of the inter-Muslim world. Sultan Muhammad Tughrul Bey had no children. Sultan Muhammad Tughrul Bey died 4 September 1063. Then his elder brother Chaghri Bey's son Muhammad Alp Arslan succeeded him to the throne. The historians have hailed him as a father of the conquest in 11th century. In Ibn al-Athir's book Al-Kamil fi Tariq, Ibn al-Athir clearly mentioned that after conquest of Malazgirt in 1071, the Abbasid Khalifa Al-Qayyum sent a special letter of honor to Sultan Muhammad Alp Arslan. In it, he was awarded to the title of Abu al-Fatah, the father of the victory, and the Adud ad-Dawla, the arm of the Muslim empire. Sultan Muhammad Alp Arslan was a great ruler of the Muslim world. During the 11th century, the Byzantine and the Georgian powers repeatedly invaded the Muslim land. At that time, Muhammad Alp Arslan secured the Muslim frontier by raiding Armenia and Georgia. In 11th century, the Makkah and Medina were under the influence of Fatimid Caliphate of Egypt. The Fatimids were Shia ideology. Sultan Muhammad Alp Arslan wanted to unite the whole Muslim world under the banner of Sunni Abbasid Caliphate. Around 1070 AD or late 462 AH, the Amir of Makkah and Medina, Muhammad ibn Abu Hashim, he learned the great military power of Sultan Muhammad Alp Arslan. Then he realized that it was impossible to resist the Great Seljuk. As a result, he abandoned his allegiance to the Fatimids and began to khutbah in Makkah and Medina in the name of Abbasid Caliphate Al-Qayyum and Sultan Muhammad Alp Arslan. And thus Makkah and Medina came under the control of the Great Seljuks. It was only after the Battle of Malazgirt in 1071 that the Seljuk truly emerged as a world superpower. This battle was of the great importance of the world history. The historians often compare the Malazgirt in 1071 to the Battle of Yarmouk in 636. The main reason for this is not only strategy of the battle, but also its far-reaching geopolitical and religious consequences. Just as the Battle of Yarmouk, the Muslims shattered the invincibility of Romans by Khalid bin Walid radiallahu ta'ala. Similarly, Sultan Muhammad Alp Arslan struck terror into the hearts of the whole Christian world and the Europe at the Battle of Malazgirt. The Battle of Malazgirt by Sultan Muhammad Alp Arslan. The Byzantines lost their important region, Anatolia, present day it's Turkey. After this defeat, they never became as strong as before. The Battle of Malazgirt laid foundation for the Islamic rule in Asia Minor and made Anatolia a permanent Muslim home, which later paved the way for the rise of the great Ottoman Empire and Ottoman Caliphate. According to the historians, in the Battle of Malazgirt, the Muslim soldiers was about 15 to 40,000 and the Roman soldier was about 300,000 to 700,000. The result of this battle was so terrible. The Great Seljuk defeated the Byzantine Empire, one of the major superpower of the world at that time. In a direct battle, the Great Seljuk captured the Byzantine Emperor Romanus Diogenes IV. This sent a message, the superiority of the Great Seljuk throughout Europe and Asia. This Malazgirt war brought to an end the 100-year Romans' dominance. Sultan Muhammad Alp Arslan was martyred after the Battle of Barzem on 24 November 1072. At that time, Sultan Muhammad Alp Arslan's death, he designated his 18-year-old son Sultan Malik Shah as his successors. After the death of Sultan Muhammad Alp Arslan, his son Sultan Malik Shah became the third great sultan of the Great Seljuk Empire. In 1071, Sultan Malik Shah took a part in the Syrian campaign of his father. He stayed in Aleppo when his father Sultan Muhammad Alp Arslan fought Roman Emperor Romanus Diogenes IV at Malazgirt. Sultan Malik Shah's reign is considered one of the golden age of the Great Seljuk Empire. He and his prime minister Nizamul Mulk jointly held empire became world's one of the major power. During Sultan Malik Shah's reign, the Great Seljuk Empire stretched from the Chinese border in the east and the Central Asia in the north to the Mediterranean Sea in the west, which stretched present day from the Rajgarh in China to Yemen in the south and from Turkey in the west to the Afghanistan in the east. He ruled over an area equivalent to half the world. The Abbasid Khalifa al-Muqtadi bestowed the title of Sultan al-Mashriq wal-Maghrib, the Sultan of the East and the West. Although the Khalifa was the religious head, but all military and administrative power were in the hands of Sultan Malik Shah. The Fatimi ruler imposed various restrictions on Masjid al-Aqsa. This stopped Islamic education in the land of Palestine to allow the spread of Shia doctrine. After the defeat, the Byzantine at the Battle of Malazgirt in 1071, the Great Seljuk Empire influence spread rapidly. Sultan Muhammad Alp Arslan sent his general Atsis ibn Waq to campaign Jerusalem against Fatimids. And around 1072, the Sultan Muhammad Alp Arslan general Atsis besieged the Jerusalem. In 1073 AD, Masjid al-Aqsa and whole Palestine came under the control of the Great Seljuk Empire under the leadership of Sultan Muhammad Alp Arslan's son, Sultan Malik Shah. As a result, Al-Aqsa began to regain its lost status, and pure Islamic knowledge was once again practiced in Palestine. Sultan Malik Shah defeated the Roman vassal kings and expanding the Seljuk kingdom to the frontier and capturing the many islands. Nicephorus Botaniates ascended the Byzantine throne after the abdication of the son of Constantine Ducas. He and his successor Alexius Comnenus agreed to pay the tribute of Sultan Malik Shah as their supreme ruler. In 1084 to 1085 AD, Sultan Malik Shah expelled the Greek from Antioch and reclaimed the city. The reign of Sultan Malik Shah, the ruler and the protector of the Muslim world, was safe and stable golden age, where a merchant and an ordinary traveler could travel from one end of the vast empire to the other without any fear. Historians have noted that at that time, a merchant and an ordinary traveler would travel thousands of miles with his precious goods from Persia to the Syria and Central Asia to the Mediterranean coast. Yet they did not fear any thieves and robbers. There was such a security system on every road in the empire that people used to say even if a woman walked miles and miles with gold on her head, no one would dare to look at her. People of all religions and backgrounds felt safe and trusted the government fair justice system, which was based on the teaching of the Holy Quran and the Sunnah. The historian called this period Pax Seljukia or Seljuk peace. Sultan Malik Shah and his prime minister Nizamul Mulk brought about an unprecedented revolution in the spread of higher education. On the orders of Sultan Malik Shah, his famous prime minister Nizamul Mulk established the world-famous Nizamiya Madrasa in Baghdad, Isfahan and Nishapur. It is considered the original form of modern universities. The reign of Sultan Malik Shah. The famous scholar and philosopher Imam Ghazali taught as a head teacher in this madrasa. It played a major role in the intellectual awakening of Islam in the Muslim world. Sultan Malik Shah was a staunch patron of science and knowledge. During the reign of Sultan Malik Shah, at his behest, the famous mathematician and astronomer Omar Khayyam created a new and highly accurate calendar known as the Jalali calendar. After the Sultan's title, it was more accurate than the current Gregorian calendar. Sultan Malik Shah's reign was a combination of military conquest, intellectual liberation and economic prosperity, which made the Seljuk an unstoppable force in world history. In 1092, Sultan Malik Shah fell ill, being poisoned by assassins. And a few months later, on 19 November 1092, Sultan Malik Shah, the great ruler of the Great Seljuk Empire and the Muslim world, died at the age of 37. Surrounded the Byzantine and Eastern Roman Empire to the west, the Fatimids to the south, the Karakhanids in the Central Asia, and the Ghaznavid Empire to the east, centered on present-day Afghanistan and northern India. Like this, the great power of that time were forced to bow before the superior military tactics and the power of the great Seljuks. Especially under the reign of Sultan Malik Shah, the power of this great Seljuk of Muslim ascended to such a breathtaking pinnacle that the world was left without single rival capable of standing against their supremacy. Because of Sultan Malik Shah's unassailable dominance and vastness of his empire, the historians have called this period the imperial age of the great Seljuks. During the reign of Sultan Malik Shah, this Muslim empire was an indomitable superpower in the world.
Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar!
The Seljuks, unwavering power and central authority, may have gradually waned after the death of Sultan Muhammad Tughrul Bey, Chaghri Bey, Sultan Muhammad Alp Arslan, Nizamul Mulk, and Sultan Malik Shah, but their legacy was indestructible. The political structure and the educational system they introduced guided the entire Muslim world for centuries to come. Surprisingly, the Sultan's philosophy of governance is still relevant even in the 21st century. In particular, the great book Siyasatnama, written by the great Prime Minister in the Muslim world, Nizamul Mulk, is still considered a masterpiece of political science and diplomacy, from which even today's people are deriving the secrets of politics and good governance. Essentially, it was on this strong foundation built by the Great Seljuks that the Ottomans later built their great history of world conquest. The Great Seljuk. It is not just a name of a Muslim empire. It is an unforgettable epic of heroism and excellence in the history of Islam.